Hello and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sport. For today's preview, France versus the All Blacks. What should be an absolutely epic encounter to round off what is essentially a Super Saturday. There's a little bit of Toyota Challenge with Sharks taking on the Cheetahs. Then obviously the big test, South Africa versus England. So much drama surrounding that test and the major sort of fixture of this weekend. That will be followed by Wales taking on Australia before France versus New Zealand will close off Super Saturday. And then on Sunday, we've also got a couple of very good games, which we'll talk about a bit more in those previews. But in terms of the two teams, a very, very big name back in the All Blacks side, and it should be a fantastic halfback pairing or halfback battle really between Antoine Dupont and Aaron Smith this weekend. But before we look at the two sides, please do smash like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. Now, New Zealand were looking to respond after going down against Ireland last week, because the problem is if they were to lose again, first of all, it means that South Africa hold on to the number one spot. But every single time New Zealand lose, they begin to lose that sort of All Blacks invincible sort of aura that kind of surrounds them. You know, they are a side which for many, many years were just unbeatable, and you kind of they would almost sort of won most test matches by the time they're taken to the field, because there was just that sort of aura around that you just don't beat the side. You just don't beat these guys. But, you know, if you look at the last sort of 12 months, Australia have beaten them, Argentina have beaten them, South Africa have beaten them, now Ireland have beaten them, you know. So if France were to go and beat them, it would be a huge statement in terms of being able to become quite a bit of a leveler, because at the moment, it's very much Springboks and New Zealand quite far out in front in terms of the world rankings. Now, this French side is a very exciting French side, but it unfortunately also has a habit of sometimes just not pitching up and not playing to its full potential. It's got all the names, got all the talent. It just needs to gel, and it doesn't always do that, which is why it can sometimes be quite a frustrating side to watch. In terms of the teams, we'll start with the French, who are being led by now World Rugby Player of the Year nominee, Antoine Dupont in the number 9 jersey. But if we look at the front row, very, very powerful front row. Cyril Bailly, we know how much quality he brings to the side. He will be an absolute anchor in the front row there. He is next to Pito Muvaka and then Uni Antonio. So we need a very big battle up front. It's a very exciting backline for France, and they're a side that likes to have ball in hand and likes to be able to attack opposition, but they will need front foot ball if they are to try and do that. And adding a little bit of grunt, Cameron Wacky, and then the South African board, Paul Willemse, the enforcer, has been brought in to try and add that bulk and try and get over the advantage line and try and sort of bully some of the All Blacks players. He's an absolute unit as Paul Willemse. Sometimes discipline gets the better of him, and he needs to sort of sort that aspect out, but he's a very, very strong ball carrier and brings a very big physical presence. In the back row, Anthony Gillans, Francois Cross, and Gregory Aldred. Very, very handy back row. I thought Aldred was fantastic in the Six Nations. We all know that Anthony Gillans is a quality player as well. And this loose trio battle should be something very, very interesting. No Ethan Blackadder for the All Blacks. Akira Awani getting an opportunity there. So it should be quite a couple of nice sort of matchups. Aldred versus Sevilla, Dupont versus Smith, you know, Intermac versus Richie Mwanga. You know, there's just so many nice matchups to watch. So if you look at the back line, there's no longer that Jalabert, Intermac pivot there at 10, 12. Jalabert dropped down to the bench and remain. Intermac will start at 10, partnering Antoine Dupont. Very exciting loose chair, you know, and you give these two front foot ball, you give them a sniff, you give them an inch, and they will take their opportunities. Also in the back line, Gavin Vellier and Damien Pinot are the two wings. In the centres, Gail Fiku and Jonathan Dainty, and then at the fullback, Malvin Jaminet. It's a very nice back line. You know, Fiku will also have a very big game. Him up against Rico Awani. As I said, it's just another big matchup, which is very exciting. Then off the bench, Gautam Bala, Jean-Baptiste Gross, Demba Bamba, and then we've got Thibaut Flamand, Dylan Cretin, Maxime Luxury, and Mathieu Jalabert closing off the bench. It's a good French side. As I said, talent-wise, there's no issues with the amount of talent in this French side. It's just where they can pitch up and do the job on the day. For the All Blacks, massive, massive boost for them to have Aaron Smith back at number 9, partnering Richie Mwanga. No Bernard available for this weekend. But if we start in the front, Joe Moody, Dane Coles, and Nepo Lualala, so much experience, you know, well over almost 150 caps in and amongst those three players. And they are backed up by Brodie Retallick and Samuel Whitelock, who between them have over 200 caps. Sam Whitelock will captain the side as well. So that tight five is very good. But I think the front row for New Zealand has actually had its issues, has had its struggles this year, and it's Joe Moody's going to have a very big game at Lucia, but I think he needs a lot more support from the likes of Nepololala, because I think that teams have actually managed to have a go at this front row and been able to sort of impose themselves. So they need to front up to allow the rest of the scene to operate at full capacity. Kirawani, Sam Kane, and Artie Severe are a very, very dangerous loose trio. And when you've got somebody like Shannon Frizzell coming off the bench, it just sort of adds to the depth. But in Richie Mwanga, Aaron Smith combination, we've got George Bridge back on the wing, and he partners Will Jordan, who's been nominated for World Breakthrough Player of the Year. The centre pairing is Quinn Topai and Rico Awani, and then Geordie Barrett, who I think probably also could have been on the nomination for World Player of the Year, in there at full back. Off the bench for the All Blacks, not too much experience. There are only 2 players who actually have more than 20 caps. So still quite an inexperienced bench, but very much to sort of continue growing that sort of depth. But you've got Samisoni Tukoao, George Bauer, and Ofa Tunga Farsi in the front row. Then you've got Tupavai, Shannon Frizzell. Then you've got the likes of Brad Weber, Damien McKenzie with his 39 tests, and David Havili. David McKenzie very much covering 10 this weekend with the absence of Bowden Barrett. But he's such a talented player. He can really just play anywhere he wants to. This should be a very interesting test, Obviously, France having the home ground advantage does help a lot. But New Zealand will have to respond, because New Zealand don't lose 2 matches in a row. It just doesn't really happen. So expect a massive response from All Blacks. And already quite a lot of pressure mounting on Ian Foster and his coaching staff. So, first of all, they need a big performance. But I think, it is an opportunity for France to try and make a statement. If France were to try and get a victory, I think suddenly it starts blowing up, anyone who could win the 2023 World Cup. Because I think there's a lot of teams who are sort of expected to be pretty unbeatable, who are now, other teams are finding ways to beat them. So it should be a very interesting clash. Let me know what your score predictions are down in the comments below. Smash like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. My name is Steven. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll chat to you soon.